It's April 4th, 2019. Welcome back to Destination Pro Wrestling. My name is Tony, and you guys can follow me on Twitter at Tango with Tango. It's Wrestlemania weekend, and I've seen a lot of people on my Twitter feed tell me that I'm stupid, or they don't agree with me, and they don't understand my logic. But I gotta be honest with you guys. I want you guys to watch this entirely and keep an open mind with what I'm about to say. Prior to Becky Lynch becoming the man, WrestleMania 35 was never about Becky Lynch. WWE had found themselves in a situation for several months where they couldn't disappoint the fans. Obviously, fans were getting behind Becky Lynch. WWE didn't want to make the same mistake they did with Daniel Bryan. So what did they do? They got the fans everything they asked for. They started including Becky Lynch in these major storylines. They inserted her in the main program for WrestleMania. And now she's in the main event for WrestleMania 35. Kudos to WWE. They did everything to make you happy. But prior to Becky Lynch becoming the man, I've said it multiple times, I don't agree with it. I definitely don't agree with it. And I don't want you people telling me that, because I know this is going to happen. I don't want you guys thinking this is what I'm looking for. But I'm being realistic. It was never about the man. And it was also never about Ronda Rousey. WWE has always been about Charlotte Flair. The daughter of Ric Flair has name value. She had name value before she stepped in the ring. Then she stepped in the ring and became one of the greatest assets to women's wrestling. Whether you agree or disagree, that's up to you. But she is very talented in the ring. She's got the look. She's a mainstream star. She can do it. So that's why WrestleMania 35, Becky Lynch is not walking out as champion. WWE catered to everybody's fans, and now they're going to shit on everybody's hopes and dreams when Becky Lynch doesn't win the title. Now, me personally, I would rather see Becky Lynch win. But I think WWE realizes that 30 or 40 years from now, when they look back at WrestleMania 35, when people are talking about the first ever women's main event, they're not talking about Becky, they're talking about Charlotte. And this is where I think WWE has to change their motto and their philosophy for WrestleMania, because normally you send people home happy. In this situation, I think WWE does the absolute opposite and basically creates one of the biggest heel turns in all of pro wrestling. Now, it's really hard to differentiate who's the heel and babyface in this storyline. But I think WWE is going to screw Becky Lynch. And in turn, because you know deep down inside, WWE wants Becky Lynch to be the champion. The problem is, 30 years from now, Becky Lynch, in comparison to Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair, she doesn't have that sort of attraction that those two have. Ronda Rousey obviously being famous in MMA and UFC, and then Charlotte Flair being the daughter of Ric Flair, having a legacy, already being an 8-time women's champion, might eventually go into 16 times. 30 years from now, there is a little bit more superiority from Charlotte Flair over Becky Lynch. And it's easy for a lot of us to criticize, right? Because with the Ronda Rousey situation, Ronda Rousey is an MMA star. She's only been in the WWE for just slightly over a year. So we know that with Ronda Rousey being in the WWE for over a year, we know at this situation we're finding something that a lot of people would also criticize. 30 years from now, they're going to talk about how Ronda Rousey was an MMA star who went to WWE and got the main event and won the title. It's not a good look. And yes, I think Becky Lynch is not a bad pick here, but I think deep down inside it's always been about Charlotte. It was always about Charlotte. Charlotte was always designed to be the winner of the first ever women's main event, and it makes sense because she is a Flair, because she is a natural-born athlete. I mean, if you guys look at Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, there is no way in hell this match is going to suck. This is going to be a really, 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 really good match. So I think WWE is going to do something different here, and that's what I want to talk about in today's video. I think WWE is not going to send you home happy, because after all these months, they gave you what you asked for. You asked for Becky Lynch. You asked for Becky Lynch to win. You asked for Becky Lynch to get her shine. And WWE will give it to her after WrestleMania. So how is WWE going to do this? Well, I'll tell you what I think will happen. And I think WWE will absolutely do this. I think WWE is going to have the authority turn on Becky Lynch. I think the entire idea here is to have Charlotte go full-blown heel. Unify both women's titles. So that way, 30 years from now, when they are talking about who won and who made this historical moment happen, it was always about Charlotte Flair. But now WWE has to cater to you guys, right? The fans. So how are they going to cater to the fans? Shortly after WrestleMania, Becky Lynch wins the title. Becky Lynch gets her opportunity. Throughout the summer, we're going to see Becky Lynch become anti-authority. We're going to see Becky Lynch become the Stone Cold Steve Austin that people wanted to see. You know, people say that she's drawing comparisons to Steve Austin. I think we haven't seen anything yet. I think this is where we start to see more of it. This way, WWE can have that one moment that is owned and dominated by Charlotte Flair. I think deep down inside, they know that Becky is the man, so they will give her the belt. But I don't think they're going to give her that WrestleMania moment. So how does WWE do this? I said the authority will screw over Becky Lynch. WWE has been doing a little bit of intergender wrestling here and there. Is it possible that Triple H could come out and deliver a pedigree to Becky Lynch? I think that, although it would be interesting, I think it's a little bit too much, right? It's a little too much of fantasy booking. But I could see Triple H or Stephanie in a situation where they eliminate Ronda Rousey somehow from the match, and then they distract Becky Lynch, who obviously gets the fans rallying behind her, and then Charlotte Flair goes for a dirty win. I could see the authority also making this a no DQ match. I could see that happening. I could see WWE going to a situation where, Triple H gives Charlotte Flair the sledgehammer and has her beat up Becky Lynch. I can see WWE doing all of these things. So at the end of WrestleMania, people are booing. People are hating this main event. People on Twitter and YouTube, people like us media people, whatever. I can see them having us draw the reaction they were looking for. This way they put Charlotte Flair over as a heel and one of the most dominant women. Now, in such a historical moment that will ever be part of history, it's going to forever be there. I think that is the wrong way to go. But WWE has an opportunity to get people more behind Becky Lynch than ever before. In fact, I think WWE could plan to even bigger things, going into pay-per-views, eventually winning the belt from Charlotte Flair, and then also possibly defending it against Stephanie McMahon. Now, you're probably not in too much love with the idea of Stephanie McMahon being inserted into the storyline, but deep down inside, WWE fans were looking forward to Ronda Rousey beating up Stephanie McMahon when we didn't get that. And right now, Becky Lynch is the hottest female superstar on the WWE roster. She's got the most momentum. Imagine WWE saying, yeah, you know what? We didn't give you guys the main event that you were looking for. We're going to make it up for you with Becky Lynch basically destroying the shit out of Stephanie McMahon. See, that's the beautiful thing about wrestling, guys. You can pretty much fantasy book a lot of things and make things make sense. Now, I'm not repeating myself when I tell you guys 30 years from now. You know, I've said this quite a bit of times on this channel. 30 years from now, you're looking back at Charlotte Flair because she was the one. But that's not me repeating myself. That's me making it very clear to you guys. WWE sees a lot of potential with Charlotte. More potential with Charlotte than anybody else on the roster. And that's why this is such a good thing. Because if you are Becky Lynch, people will love you even more. See, usually WrestleMania becomes the culmination of a whole bunch of stories that finally ends and you get the fairy tale ending that you want. But I think WWE has to realize this summer, going into Fox, right? Like, they're going to go into this Fox deal. They need to make sure this upcoming summer, going into fall 2019, these stories are the hottest things going on. We know that there's a lot of plans for a lot of people on the roster, but women's wrestling is at its pinnacle. It's at its peak. It's at its very best that it's ever been. And Charlotte has a lot to do with that, but a lot of it has to do with Becky Lynch. So let's look at Becky Lynch chasing the glory a little bit more. And now WWE succeeds with two different things. They got the championship on the person that they wanted the entire time. They made history. It's going to look good for the future. But now they're also catering to everybody saying, no, we hear you. We know that you want Becky Lynch, but we want Becky Lynch to chase this belt. We're not going to give it to Becky Lynch easy. We want to see the fans really, rally behind her. Because when it does happen, when Becky Lynch does finally get that belt, it's going to be a bigger deal than it would have been her winning at WrestleMania. Now, the reason why I came up with this was because WWE decided to do winner takes all. If it wasn't winner takes all, Becky Lynch would have won standing tall with the 4 horsewomen. But who knows what WWE is going to do here. So I want to know what you guys think about my prediction. Share your prediction down below. And make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Lots of WrestleMania content is coming back this weekend. So with that being said, make sure you guys click that like button, leave a comment down below, and click subscribe.